It's a glorious morning in New York, a fun evening here on Cricbuzz Live. It's the two geopolitical giants up against each other for the very first time. Two giants of Cricbuzz in the studio as well, joined by Bhattacharjya and Zaheer Khan. India versus USA. On the cricket field, it can't be Uncle Sam versus India. It's got to be young Sam versus Uncle India, right?
Yeah. It's the old civilization versus the young country. This is just, USA at the end of the day is just 250 odd years old. So yeah. It's definitely, and yes, the geopolitical situation, I mean, we may be close to them in terms of them being the leading nation, but in terms of cricket nation, I think we are far, far ahead.
Now, USA have given us the upset of the tournament thus far. If USA hadn't beaten Pakistan, would India have looked at them differently? Now that USA had that result, will it not worry India, but will they look at USA with a bit of caution?
Well, I think when you're looking at this Indian team, one thing is for sure, they've been focusing more on their strengths and their processes, and they've been talking about that. Yeah. They've been very consistent with doing that. Yeah. Yes, they will have their discussions around the teams they'll be playing against, but predominantly, I think they will be just focusing on what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and tactically, what different can they do against the different opposition. Yeah. So with that regard, they will not give that much of importance of what USA have been doing, or whether they've created upset now. We have to be more careful. No, I think the approach would have been the same whether US had beaten Pakistan or not.
In a sense, Joy, it's Indians versus Indians with H-1B visa. The American team does need a fair bit of help from India. Monank Patel, someone who's born in Gujarat, now captaining the United States. What was it that you were looking for in associate nations, and have USA been the most impressive, the most ready for the big stage, if you like?
I think, look, the two things is that they finally, at the end of the day now, with MLC, they've got money into the game, you know. Lots of Indians like the likes of Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, they're buying MLC teams. They're getting into USA cricket because they realize there are all these guys who've come, brought up in India, played this game. Now they've gone to the US, made it big. They want to make this. So the one advantage they have, the US has, is they have serious money following them. No other associate nation has the kind of money backing it that US cricket has in the kind of investors it has in its league. So that's the one thing you've got to note. So money will make a difference. Secondly, their plan was long-term. If you see what has been happening, you know, there are players who you don't even see on the field, like Unmukh Chand, Sarabjit Ladda. Okay, lots of players have moved and have been moving in the last 7, 8, 10 years. This is not something that's happened overnight. In the last 7, 8, 10 years, Unmukh Chand has gone there 3, 4, 5 years back. Yeah. So they've made a plan saying their World Cup is going to happen in 24. They would have known that 4 years before. Yeah. 6, 7 years back before, they've been planning for it. So what you will see out here, which is why the US is very different from any other associate nation, is financial backing. There's no knowledge that they're going to have a really successful league. I mean, how many leagues will have teams owned by Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, some other investors, you know, billionaire investors, you know, all these are big names. So they will bring their own expertise in terms of management to cricket. And therefore, I think this is going to be a very, very emerging. Their talent base is small because, you know, there are too many other games competing. But they are going to be an emerging country. They're going to be a difficult to beat country because they have resources behind them. Most of the other countries suffer from a lack of resources.
Very crucial passage for USA cricket coming up. Zach, recently retired cricketers from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, would they look at the prospect of playing in America a little more seriously, given that America generally organizes and markets and packages sport really well? So would you look at, say, an MLC more seriously than, say, a CPL or a BPL?
Well, there is enough action right now in America around cricket. Yeah. You know, so that is something which will be a slow process, but it will be a very robust process, is what everyone is expecting. Yeah. You know, get introduction of cricket to the nation, get it going in schools, then build it from there. You know, build the club cricket culture, and then it is going to feed into MLC and eventually the US cricket. Yeah. You know, that's predominantly the plan as of now. Yeah. You will have a lot of professionals. You know, what I'm hearing from the other countries as well, you will see a lot of retired cricketers also playing a part there. Yeah. With regard to nurturing their talent, promoting the game, and getting them involved in some sort of a process which is going to help US cricket eventually. So I think if any nation we are looking at continuing and maybe progressing quicker in this journey, you can look at US. I think that they have the resources, like how Joyda was mentioning, and the sports culture and the marketing of that and getting to a level, all those things they can bank on to get the game up to speed with the rest of the world.
And the fact that the ICC has spent about $30 million to get the stadium ready in New York tells you that they're very serious as well to take the sport to the US.
Yeah, remember, before this they've had games, but they've played in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, okay? They've played it, California, down West Coast, okay? But here specifically there were 2-3 reasons for doing it in New York. One was timing. So they wanted to come in and India time. India-Pakistan had to be at a good time for Indian audiences. And therefore, it's important for the match to be held on the East Coast. Okay. And secondly, New York, New Jersey for them is a defining area. That's where they feel that if you have to capture the heart of America, you have to capture New York. So I think that's why they've done all this. They know that this is a big thing. And again, it's not a question. The ICC has captured every market in the world. Okay. This is the last big market they want to capture. Like 94 football was World Cup went to USA. Cricket is here. Remember, 4 years later, you're going to have a Olympics out here. And Olympics this year, cricket is being played. So in 28 Olympics, you have cricket. So they are also moving, saying that, okay, this is one of the most wealthiest parts of our population. This serves us well. So it's all a set of circumstances coming together. Remember that difference, because United States, when it sets itself to something, has the financial wherewithal to do it. And other associate nations just don't have that kind of money to put behind cricket.
Well, big days ahead for USA cricket and therefore for ICC as well, as cricket goes to different shores and tries to expand its footprint. India, meanwhile, have won the toss and, surprise, chosen to chase on a pitch where we've seen teams struggle to chase. India going in unchanged. Firstly, Zach, interesting call to chase, wanting to test themselves, or have they said, listen, the conditions are fine, conditions are not overcast, it's bright and sunny in New York, so good call?
Well, conditions will only get better. Because it's a morning game. So when you're looking at morning game, the freshness of the pitch, we've been seeing all the teams winning the toss, preferring to bowl first. And the conditions have allowed them to do that. So India is just basically sticking to whatever most of the captains have been thinking about on this particular pitch in these conditions. And also, they've played enough matches now here. So they know exactly what lengths to bowl. Their bowling have been superb. To put USA under pressure right from word go is something which you can expect from this bowling lineup.
Expect Bumrah and co to put pressure on an American side that's playing without Monank Patel, out with an injury, and that means that Aaron Jones will captain a couple of changes. In comes Shayan Jahangir and Shadley Fan Shalquick.
They will mix Monank Patel because I think he was on the top order. He is really useful. Shalquick is interesting because we expected him to see him early, and Kenjige came in instead. They played Kenjige. But I think given the fact that India has so many left-handers, they did not want to risk him against an Indian order, which, as an offie, they didn't want to risk him at all. So I think that's why they've got, as a left arm, they didn't want to risk him at all. So they've gone with the, pacer. And I think it's a different option, but I think it's the right option against somebody like India.
It's a pity that Monank Patel has to miss out. I mean, he would have been dreaming about this day for a very long time to play against India in a big World Cup game. But I suppose he's done well enough to hog the headlines. He's looked good, looks like he belongs to the big stage.
Well, it's a big blow because he's captained the side well as well. He contributed with the bat, and openers is something which are so vital to set the tone. So that is something which will be missed by USA in this game for sure. His services, and you can't do anything about a forced change. You just have to adapt, accept. And then whoever gets an opportunity, there is a chance for him also to make a mark. So that's how the game goes. So we'll have to see how the replacement is going to go on to do well in this game. India
will bowl first. They will be bowling against a lineup that doesn't have Monank Patel. India will fancy themselves, Zach, because it's the bowling that's worked really well for them. The paces have done the job. Wickets for Arshdeep, for Bumrah. Virat's done all right as well. So big plus for India.
But those numbers are very impressive. Also, the conditions have been on the bowler side. You have enough experience in this bowling lineup. Bumrah leading this bowling attack, and he's a world-class bowler. Siraj is someone who will join the party anytime. That's the feeling I get. But Hardik and Arshdeep, they've been playing a great supporting role, and the numbers are speaking themselves. So that's how so far Indian bowlers have been able to have that impact on this particular pitch and utilize the conditions to perfection.
One less headache for Rohit Sharma as captain in a big World Cup. You start off really well. If your bowling group's looking good, do you see any chinks here? Everyone's looking good in the bowling.
I think everyone's looking good, and they still have, remember, for the spin part of it, when they go to pitches which turn and the pitches which are slightly truer, they have Kuldeep still in reserve. Yeah. That's a big thing to have. Kuldeep and Chahal are in reserve. You've held them back. They're fresh. Yeah. So this is the kind of surface where they wanted to play with the, Akshar gives them that extra batter right now. Yeah. And a batter who can move up and down the order. So Akshar is giving them that variety. And when the pitch is doing a lot, then a finger spinner is enough because he has the accuracy. Yeah. And he's not as, he can pitch length through. Then they don't need that extra turn because the pitch is doing a lot out here. Yeah. But they have that insisting. The other thing I was thinking about is Monank Patel. If he has a niggle, the reason, and it's a heartbreaking decision. He would have loved to play for India, but their thought would have been, it's better for him not to play. This is a more difficult game to play. Super. Okay. The next game is against Ireland. So if there's a chance of him getting fit, they want him to be fit against Ireland, not here. Yeah. Because they are not thinking about what Monank Patel, and rightfully so. Yeah. They're not thinking about what Monank Patel, Anand ka ladka wearing Amul out here, batting against India. They're not thinking of all that. They're thinking, is this guy, who's the guy who's going to bat for us against Ireland? He has to be fit for the next game.
Goes to show the team's maturity, right? I mean, the think tank's thinking in the right direction. It's not an emotional call at all.
A, it's not an emotional call. B is that they are looking at, because they know that they don't want, see, the moment they lose these two matches, they open the door to Pakistan. Yep. They get a single point out of these two games, they're through.
They are above Pakistan on that points table. But Zach, would you have perhaps looked at maybe bringing Kuldeep in? I doubt if USA would have played a bowler like Kuldeep Yadav in the past.
Well, I mean, you don't have to change your playing 11 just to bring in that X factor, just like that, right? You want to continue with the winning momentum. Things when they are going for you, when they are working for you. Yeah. Akshar is a choice because it's just adding that flexibility of utilizing him as a floater as well, which we've seen in the previous game, and that is something which Indian team must be thinking. The think tank basically when you chose that squad, you are getting ready to maybe play Kuldeep as a part of first 11. Yeah. Well, you've gone there in New York. You've seen the conditions. You've identified that these conditions are going to be helpful for seamers. Yeah. So that's why they brought in that extra seamer. Yeah. And that flexibility was always going to be there. When you look at Hardik Pandya, whether you utilize his services as a third seamer or you utilize his services as a fourth seamer. Yeah. If the conditions are allowing you to do that. So that was one call made there. And now the second call is that conditions are tough for batting. You've seen that 135, 140 also have been so difficult for any team to get on this surface. Then you have that insurance in batting. Yep. And that insurance is provided by Akshar. So maybe in the second leg, Kuldeep's name will be up for discussion again. But here, right now, in this leg, they're just going to continue with the same playing 11.
Just as well, because 84% of the wickets in New York have been picked up by pacers. And today on our Naukri career score, we put the spotlight on Arshdeep Singh, who bowled that pressure over against Pakistan. It was that last over when he ensured that India go past the finish line. And Naukri.com, which is India's #1 job portal, have used their expertise to look at numbers in a specific way, and they look at careers, cricket careers, in a way that tells you more about what a player is doing and the impact that player has had. Now, take a look at where Arshdeep Singh finds himself. At #2 on the Naukri career score, when you look at the top bowlers in T20 internationals in the last 2 years, just goes to show, Joy, that he seems to have sort of embraced this format very well. He's played a lot of T20 cricket. He's right up there.
Absolutely. If you see in the last couple of years, somebody like a Bumrah has been, they've kept him in cotton wool when he's been injured, and they haven't wanted to use him everywhere. This is a young kid who's just growing. For him, experience is more important. Yeah. And I think the good thing he's done is he's played so much, he's really Firstly, he's not broken down at all. He's given them value in terms of, being physically healthy. But he's also learned to bowl in all types of conditions, because I think that's what they wanted to do. Expose him as much as possible, send him forward, let him go and play, because he's always been a good bowler. He's tended to sometimes experiment too much or do too much, try and do too much. And those kind of things can only come out through experience. And I think that's what they've tried to give him.
And on that Naukri career score, he's at number 2. He's above the likes of Haris Rauf and Shaheen Shah Afridi. Clearly goes to show, Zach, that he's stepped up and he's sort of figured how to go about different challenges in this format.
Yeah, he has shouldered the responsibility very well. That's something which you can expect from him. Also, when you're getting opportunities, it's about you, how quickly you can learn. And this exposure at this level matters a lot. You've seen players from Test format making impact in the white ball cricket. You've seen from white ball cricket you move to red ball cricket. So Arshdeep is someone who has got the potential of playing all the 3 formats. And we've seen with different bowlers not being available in different formats. You've seen the rise of Siraj also in maybe last 3 years when your senior bowlers were not available. He shouldered the responsibility very well. So when it comes to T20 format, you see most of the big guns. They've been either opting out because of workload management or because of the injuries. So in that scenario, you get an opportunity as a youngster coming in, and he's been around for a while now, making use of those opportunities, and that's why these numbers are looking the way they are looking, because he's been consistent and he's been playing all the matches. So that just gives you that much of confidence also, and that gives you an opportunity to learn and then progress it to the different formats. So I think Arshdeep is someone, when you're looking at it from the Indian cricket's point of view, everyone is backing him to be growing into a bowler who is eventually going to be playing all the formats.
Let's look at Arshdeep Singh and this Naukri career score from a slightly different lens. This Naukri career score is based on 4 parameters. Take a look at that. Longevity, situational performance, win contribution and consistency. He is at number 1 on 2 of those parameters, Joy. Situational performance, if he's ranked number 1, just goes to show that he's now becoming a thinking bowler. It's perhaps not just about skill.
Absolutely. And see, that also indicates that he tends to bowl a lot of death overs. Because situational confidence means what? You're the type who's bowling the last 2 overs, 20 to get, 15 to get, you're stopping them. And he's done that. He's consistently done that. He's consistently taken wickets at the death. In fact, I feel his bowling up front has improved now. But always he was a good bowler at the death, because, he has all the variety. He has a Yorker. He has all the varieties possible. So I think that's where his performance is coming. And win contribution, the only reason I think is down in win contribution, and there's a very simple reason for it, is that the Indian team is such a dominant team that to have a consistent win contribution huge is not going to be very much, because you're playing for a team which is a really, really good team. So your contribution, your ability to be able to do it, you're surrounded by superstars. When you're looking at a team which has Rohit, Virat, Bumrah, Suryakumar Yadav, win contribution, you just do your part in a great team, that's all.
Also scores very highly at number 1 on that longevity parameter. He's played as many as 46 T20 internationals for India. It's the highest since debut. Now, he was also India's highest wicket taker at the World Cup in Australia, in T20 World Cup. He wasn't picked for that ODI World Cup at home. The word was that he was told that he wasn't ready. But Zach, if you were to advise Arshdeep on the way forward, where does he go from here, having stacked up these numbers?
Well, he's already on the way, like I mentioned, to play all the formats. Now, when that is going to happen, it's just about ticking all the boxes. It's about making use of all the opportunities which are coming your way. And those numbers are also staggering. He's played 46 games, as you mentioned. So which tells you that the opportunities which have come his way, he's grabbed it. Yes, and he was ready for it. Because if you have to play all the games, you need that fitness, you need that workload management, you need to be ready and not miss any games. So he has ticked that box. It's only a matter of time, I feel, with the skill set which he possesses and the fitness which he has. It's only a matter of time that he will be progressing it to the ODI format and then eventually the Test format also.
Well, it's been a fun exercise to look at Arshdeep Singh's career through the lens of the Naukri career score. They clearly know a thing or two about growing careers, and what a fun way, what a smart way to look at numbers from this lens. So Arshdeep Singh in focus on our Naukri career score. Now, the United States playing without Monank Patel will clearly bank on Aaron Jones. He seems to have the game for the big stage, and he'll fancy himself because he showed no fear in the games thus far. He'll want to score big in this game without Monank Patel.
I think he's the bludgeon up front. He is the person who's really giving them that acceleration up front. For a team that's played matches in conditions like this, to get 130 runs to get, is really creditable performance.
Yeah.
He is their one batter who's been solid throughout.
Yeah.
And he's very important to their team. Again, West Indian origin, but born and brought up in the US, has that power, has that strength. And see, that's the one thing that happens in the US team, that you have a combination of sort of Indian, from the Indian gharana, as I say, the kind of batters and all who come from the Indian gharana. You have that West Indies power hitting, and you have also the Pakistan tape ball kind of, the knowledge of, Gujranwala and Karachi, the streets of Karachi. So it's a very interesting cultural mix of them. But they need that power up front, and he provides them that power.
Guts is a word that comes to mind. 10 sixes against Ireland. He had a big six of Haris Rauf as well. So, against Canada.
Okay,
those
against
10
Canada,
sixes.
yeah.
And that big six against Haris Rauf tells you that he doesn't play the bowler, he plays the ball.
Yeah, that's what he mentioned in the press conference which he was attending. And look, it's about having that kind of a mindset. For any team, any team which is playing at this level and new at this level, it's very easy to get intimidated by names. So if you are actually having that kind of approach, that I'm just going to play the ball which is coming my way. It doesn't matter who's delivering that. That is going to actually get you in the present moment, and that is something which is very important. For you to have that freedom of expression. Expressing yourself freely is something which you often speak about. If you're going to get intimidated and bogged down by the names which you're facing, you will never have that flow. And that is something which will be important. And when you're hearing statements like this, it shows that these guys are talking about it, and they're saying and the more games they win at this level, it's only going to boost that further. That's how you look at it. So the win against Pakistan from that point of view is very important. That all the processes, all that belief gets even more stronger with your approach, and that is what you're expecting. So you need characters like these. And now it's about coming here and facing the likes of Bumrah, who is the number one bowler, then facing Siraj, getting at Arshdeep, putting Arshdeep under pressure, all those kind of things. Whether he's able to do that or not, we have to wait and see. But we know that he is prepared to take these bowlers on.
Has he done well enough to attract the attention of IPL scouts? You reckon you'll see this name on that IPL auction list later this year?
You might see his name on the IPL auction list. Definitely, to get in there is difficult because 4 foreign international players to get into a team and play in first 11 is very difficult. But remember, hitting in the 20th over to set up a super over, hitting a 6 at that point in time, the conditions that he did, hitting 10-6 in the previous match, these are not easy things. These are a lot of pressure. Remember, you've been waiting 2 years for this World Cup. You play there, and your neighbour scores 194, which is a huge score. And then for you're 20 for 2. From there, he took the game to the end. And remember, there's a phenomenal amount of pressure because there's so many expectations of this US team. So all I'm telling you is that this US team, forget everything else, they've performed very well under pressure. First, they've been under the pump, 194 to chase. Then they've got this, remember, they needed 11 and 3 balls to get to the super over. And they got there. So this is a US team that has worked its way through pressure. So I really like the way they're playing the game. Clearly, they're mentally very well conditioned. They're playing it calmly. They have some really good coaching. I think Stuart Law is in charge right now, and I think he's done a marvellous job.
Another man that's conquered the demons in his mind. He had a horrible IPL on the field, off the field. People took a lot of digs at him. And I've got to say that the digs that were taken at him were not right. They were not in the right spirit. Hardik Pandya has conquered those demons. He's fought all those things that were said about him. And he has shown his worth in this World Cup thus far. 5 wickets at an economy of 7. And what a big piece of good news it is for Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid to see this man turn up the heat.
Well, we often speak about Hardik providing that balance to the team, and especially with the ball in his hand. That is something which was expected. That was the pressure which he was under when he went to the World Cup, and he had to deliver with consistency. So I think he's achieved that thing very nicely so far. And the fact that he was bowling that many overs in IPL has certainly helped him.
Yeah.
You know, for a bowler, it's important that you keep bowling. You know, that's how the bowling muscles are in tune. And with him, a stop and start is something which doesn't help. You know, the injury had kept him away from the game for a while. So that doesn't help you achieve that rhythm quickly.
Yeah.
But lead up to the World Cup, forget the performances and whatever happened in the tournament.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting that many overs under your belt is something which is very important. He ticked that box nicely, and the result of that is showing in the World Cup. The balance which we often talk about, Indian team has achieved that, and going forward now, I think in the Super 8, what you will expect is that if the conditions are on the turning side,
yeah,
and you want to play with 3 spinners and be attacking and aggressive, then you can look at him as a third seamer to just provide that balance. And that was the plan from the Indian team. When they started picking that squad, they thought about all these permutation combinations. Now you have to give them also credit because playing Aksar in this leg is something which was smart based on how they've imagined different scenarios when they picked that squad, and that's why you should always back, you know, how they are planning the tournament tactically. So all these things are getting added up, and everything is falling into place because this guy has been in rhythm.
Now, there was a fair bit of anxiety among India fans because one wondered how things would be, the dynamic between Hardik Pandya and Rohit Sharma. But you saw how Rohit Sharma lifted Hardik. All is well there. Also, the fact that Hardik Pandya has done what he's done here shows that he's mentally very, very strong, and he's recovered. He's pressed that reset button.
I think he's mentally very strong. You saw the shrug when he took the wicket. So Hardik is still Hardik. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Okay. But look, let me tell you one thing. For an Indian team of this level, now they play international cricket, all this cricket at a very high level. Okay?
Yeah.
They don't need to love each other. That Australian team that you saw from 1999 to 2011, they were a dominant team. They didn't lose a World Cup game between 1999 and 2011. Okay, they won 3 World Cups. The truth was, there were lots of players who didn't get along with each other.
Yeah.
They were all superstars. I mean, Warney didn't get along with Steve Waugh. Other people didn't get along with other people. It didn't matter. They were mature enough to know that we are out here to win the game for Australia.
Yeah.
And I think Indian cricket has reached that same level. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether Virat and Rohit get along off the field. On the field, they are both professional enough and strong enough to do whatever India needs. Hardik is strong enough and Rohit is smart enough and intelligent enough to appreciate Hardik for what the balance he brings. He does not need to love him.
Yeah.
And I think that is the one emotion we should get rid of. These are professional guys. They will do, you know, whether they might hate each other, they will do enough because they're playing for India and they're professional enough to make sure they're not get in the way. Yeah. And I think that's what you should appreciate. You don't say, nahi, dosti ho gaya. It doesn't. Today, the fact is, it doesn't matter whether they're friends or not. They will still get together to help India win.
Says a lot about Hardik as it does about Rohit Sharma, the captain, and the kind of mahal that Rahul Dravid and Vikram Rathod and the others have created to ensure that all those perceived issues of the IPL have been left behind. A quick update, a quick reminder rather, India won the toss and they will bowl first. India going in unchanged. That's what it is, and no change in that lineup. 3 plus Hardik plus Aksar plus Jadeja. Lots of bowling options. Rishabh Pant's form has been a big plus as well, whereas the opponents, the home team, playing on home soil, New York, the Americans are playing without their first choice captain Monank Patel, and that means that Aaron Jones will lead the side. They will bat first. Shaheen Jahangir comes in, and so does Shadley Van Schalk Wake. Just enough time, Joy, for you to give us your joy factor.
It's an interesting one because I was just reading through, things that we do in the past, and just take a look. This is a tournament that we had. 4 players from 2 teams of the Under-19 World Cup are playing in the 2024 World Cup for different teams. Okay, so if Harmeet and Netravalkar are playing for was originally India, who are the other 2 and which team did they play for? That means 4 people who are playing for one team in that tournament are now playing for a different team. Okay, 2 of them are, we know, Harmeet and Netravalkar, who are playing for a different team. Who are the other 2? And they played for the same team in 2010, but they're playing for 2 different teams in 24.
Zach, any idea?
No.
But it's interesting. One is guessable.
Kohli, maybe?
I'm not saying anything.
We shall reveal the answer at the end of our coverage later tonight. But it's a big game in New York. Has been a low-scoring venue thus far. A glorious day. Sun's out. No chance of rain. Predictions for the first innings.
With New York, it's a killer.
Yeah, I think let's go with 105.
Ooh, sir.
This is an Indian bowling attack. I'm caught, but I think I'm going to go 113.
Zach has a chance to go top of that guessing game leaderboard. Simon Dool, who got a bit complacent the other night after getting one bullseye, is still at 1. Zach and Saimi Kher, I think, joint number 2. That's where they are. Yeah, take a look at that. So, sir, you have a chance to go top of the table. Big one coming up, India, USA. I'm going to predict 1-1-1. First ball wicket. Sorry about that. I didn't know that. I've just been told. Arshdeep's taken the wicket of the first ball. Big innings coming up for the United States. Enjoy it and see you again soon at the halfway mark on Cricbuzz Live. Bye-bye.